I can solve division problems with remainders using the area model. Okay, let's start by saying the unknown factor. Remember, multiplication sentence is made up of two types of numbers. These numbers are the factors. 3 times 7 is 21. And this is the multiple. So, multiplication sentences are made up of factors and multiples. Now, the answer to a multiplication sentence is product. But there's two types of numbers that make up a multiplication sentence. Factors would be the numbers that you multiply, and multiples are the answers. Okay, this is a review from yesterday. A rectangle has an area of 36 square units and a width of 2 units. What is the unknown side length? There are two different methods we can use to solve this. Notice you could either use a number bond or the long division method. Now in this case you're supposed to use both. So go ahead and pause and solve this problem using those two methods. Now the number bond is important for you to understand because that's going to lead you into the method that you're going to kind of learn today, and that's the distributive property. Now you've been using the distributive property when you do the area models, but now you're going to take it one step further and actually display that using numbers. Okay, this rectangle has a side length of 18. What would the area of the rectangle with the width of 2 units and a length of 19 units be? So we know that's 36, and we see that there's two more squares. But they want you to look at it like 18 times, because I have 18. If I went like that, I would have 18 all the way across. 2 times itself 18 times would be 36. So 2 times 18 is 36. 2 times 19, go up one more time by 2's. 36, 37, 38. So 2 times 19 would be 38 square units. Okay, draw a rectangle, label the width as 2 units. 2 times how many tens gets us as close as possible to an area of 3 tens? Now today you're going to be visualizing, do a lot of visualizing of that place value chart that we once used, where you drew the discs and you distributed them evenly below, and whatever you had left over you moved over to the ones placed. Remember those? So today you're going to draw, go ahead and start by drawing the rectangle like it asked you to, and it's going to have a width of 2 units. Now the question is, how close can we get to 3 tenths? So why don't you pause and see what you can do to figure out what number is going to go right there. Okay? So the closest we can get to 3 tenths is 1 tenth if we're dividing by 2. If you look at the long division problem, we have 110. 110. So 110 would be the same as 2 tens, right? Or 20. So if we have, let's think about this. If we started with 3 discs and we used up 2, we have 1 left over, and that 1, do you remember this? That 1 is going to go over and it's going to become 10. Now we already have 7. Looks like we already have 7 in the ones place. So 10 plus 7 would be what? So we're going to use up 2, and that leaves us with 1. And And we're going to move that 1 over to the ones place and bring down our 7. Add it to our 7, which would give us 17 ones. Okay? So 17 ones remain. 2 times how many ones gives us an area close to 17 square units without going over. Just think about that for a minute, because 2 times 8 is 16. 2 times 9 is 18. So which number will I use? You want the one where you don't go over. You come as close as you can without going over. So let's look and see. So 16 is as close as we could come to 17 without going over, and that's 8 ones. So if you notice, we have 8 ones, which gives us 16. And if we subtract, we're going to end up with 1. How many ones remain? 1. 1 cannot be divided up by 2 evenly unless you want to start having decimals and fractions and all that, and well, we're not ready for that. So we're going to leave it as remainder 1. And if you look, this is called the distributive property. This is called long division. Now, the distributive property, they kind of break it down for you, because we have 20 divided by 2 gives us 10. So 20 divided by 2 equals 10. And then we have 16 divided by 2 equals 8. 16 divided by 2 equals 8. And then what you do is you take those two and add them together, kind of like what we've done, and that equals 18. Now, they want you to now check your work. So we're going to take, let me change colors in case I run off the bottom here. We're going to take 18, because that's our quotient. 18 is our quotient. We're going to take 18 times our divisor, which is 2. So 18 times 2. Now remember, if you don't know how to multiply, that would be 18 plus 18. 18 times 2. 8 times 2 is 16. Carry the 1. 2 times 1 is 2. Plus 1 is 36. Don't forget about that remainder. 1. We're going to add that to it. So it's going to be 37. Is 37 our dividend? Yes, it is. So we know that we are correct. That 37 divided by 2 is 18, remainder 1. Let's try this one. 76 divided by 3. I'm going to represent this with an area model moving from part to whole by place value, just as we did with 37 divided by 2. What should the total area be? The total area should be 76. And we're dividing by 3. So the width of the known side is 3. Okay, so 3 times how many tens gets us as close as possible to an area of 7 tens. Let's give 2 tens to the length. How many tens remain? So let's visualize that place value chart. You know, that the best thing that they did was to teach you how to use the number discs with the place value chart, because now you have that visual in your head and you can sit here and you can think, okay, so I'm going to start with 7 tens. Now I know that if I take those 7 tens and I distribute them evenly into those 3 boxes, that I'm going to have 2 in each box, because 2 times 6, or 2 times 3 is 6. And That's the closest I can get to 7 without going over. But that leaves me with 1. So let me go ahead and do this. So I start with 2, because 2 times 3 is 7. If I started with 3, it'd be 3 times 3 is 9. That wouldn't work. It has to be under 7. So 2 times 3 is 6. And it leaves me with 1 10 left over. Now remember, I have 6 in the ones right now. So I'm going to just take that 10 and I'm going to scooch it over to the ones place, and now I have 16 ones to work with. Okay, 3 times how many 10s gets us as close as possible to an area of 7 10s? We already did that one. Let's give 2 10s to the length. We already did that. How many 10s remain? We did that. So 16 10s remain. Let's add the 1 10 to the 6 ones. 3 times how many ones gets us as close to as possible to an area of 16? So I have 3 times 5 is 15. If I did 3 times 6, that'd be 18. And my goal is to not go over this number right here, which is 16. So the closest I can get without going over is 15. So that would be times 5. So 3 times 5 ones is 15. Now that leaves me with a remainder of 1. And what is this method called again right here? This method is called long division. Now I'm going to check my work to make sure I did it correctly. I'm going to take my quotient, which is 25, and I'm going to multiply it by 3. So 25 times 3 is 15. 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 is 75, but it doesn't equal 76. What have I not done yet? What do I need to do? What's left to do to help me to get that dividend that I'm looking for, 76? I need to add the remainder. So 75 plus 1 equals 76. Does it match now? Yes, it does. So I know that 76 divided by 3 equals 25 remainder 1. And I know this is correct because I checked my work. If you take the time to check your work and don't rush through, you will get all the right answers too. Okay, on the homework tonight, the problem set, we have multi-step problems. First, you need to solve using an area model, then use long division and the distributive property. So you have to do 3 things in this space. Is it okay to attach a sheet of paper if you need to? Yes, for sure. Okay, so I'm going to just expand this view a little bit here so I can draw my area model, use my long division, and my distributive property, and try to fit it all in this little space. So let's start with the area model. We know, someday I'm going to be able to just make a complete rectangle without having gaps. Let me see if I can make this rectangle just a little better here. I haven't quite mastered the writing on the screen yet. We'll get there eventually. Okay, so 37 divided by 2. Our known side is 2. Now, let's go ahead and start our long division. 37 divided by 2. Now how close can we get to 3 10s without going over? 2 times what equals 3 10s? 2 times 1 10. 1 10 would give us 2 10s or 20 square units. Now I'm going to need to, let's see, take this and move it over. There we go. Now let's visualize that place value chart. I have 3 10s. Let's visualize it. Like I said, this you need to always visualize this because this makes your life so much easier. I had 3 10s and I used 2 of them. I distributed 2 of them. That means that 1 is going to move over to the ones place. And how many do I already have in the ones place? I already have 7. So right now we have 2 10s, which is the same as 20. And we don't need to put the 20. I mean, you could put the 20. If you're having a hard time understanding, oh my goodness, I just like erased everything. If you're having a hard time understanding how this all works, you could say 2 times 110 is the same as 20. That would be your first number, and that would go right here. That would work, and then you can subtract it, or you can just say 2, whatever works for you. Okay, so we have 37 minus 20 is 17, because that leaves us with 17 ones. We got rid of that 110, we moved it over to the ones place, and we replaced it with 10 ones. And now we have 17. So let's draw another box. How close can we get to 17 without going over? So 17, we can say this is 10. How close can we get to 17 without going over? We can go 8 ones, or 8, and that gives us a total of 16. So we do 8. We're going to write our answer down here below. Oh, not that number. 16. We have 1 left. So 37 divided by 2 is 18, remainder 1. Let's check to see if we're right. Well, first of all, let's go ahead and do the distributive property, then we'll check and see if we're right. So the distributive property would say 20, because you're going to take your answer, your quotient, divided by 2 equals, what does 20 divided by 2 equal? Equals 10. 16 divided by 2 equals 8. And then we add those together, 18. Okay, and then we have a remainder. Because we know that 20 plus 16 equals 36. And to get to 37, we need 1 more. 18, remainder 1. So we're going to check our work to see if we're correct. $18 times 2. Remember, if you don't know how to multiply, that'd be 18 plus 18. 8 times 2 is 16. Carry the 1. 2 times 1 is 2. Plus 1 is 36. Add the remainder. Okay. This problem right here, you do the same thing. Area model, long division, and distributive property. So do it exactly like we just did it. Let's see down below. Let's just go over this real quickly. 48 divided by 3, so we have our 3. How close can we get to 4 without going over? 1 time, 110. That would give us 30. Okay, we have 18 left. How close can we get to 18 without going over? That's times 6. So 48 divided by 3 is 16. We know we have 110, which would give us 30. Okay, remember you always want to check your work. So 16 times 3. If you don't know how to multiply, that would be 16 plus 16 plus 16. And we get 48. So 48 divided by 3 is 16. You should be able to get 100% on this paper if you take your time and check your work.